Hello again. I'm going to make an omelette. It's a really useful skill to have because it provides a light lunch or a dish for somebody who's not feeling great, and you can vary the filling. So have a look at this. Now this is going to be for one person, so I've got a small frying pan. If you wanted to make a bigger one, you could use a bigger pan. It will take that little bit longer to cook. I've got 2 eggs. My filling is going to be cheese and tomatoes. I've got 50 grams of cheddar and I've got 5 little tomatoes, but you could use one big one and slice it, but take out the core for goodness sake. Equally, you could have fried mushrooms or ham, whatever you want to go inside it. Some people like it with nothing at all. So I'm going to make a start, and the first thing to do is to get the filling ready. So I'm going to grate the cheese. Don't worry about big bits, they'll just melt inside the omelette. So there's our grated cheddar. And then with my little tomatoes, I've washed them and I'm just simply going to cut them in half, always using a bridge for safety. And you don't need to worry about the stalk with these, but if you use a whole tomato, take out that core. Right, so that's my filling ready. Now, for the omelette itself, my 2 eggs, I'm going to crack them into a jug and sharp tap, in it goes. No shell. The second one I'm going to crack into the bowl and just check that for shell before I add it to the first one. There we are. Get rid of that. And then they can go in together. And then they need to be beaten. And they're beaten with a tablespoon of water, which is unusual, but it makes it a little bit thinner, so that it covers the base of the pan and it just isn't quite as rich. So a tablespoon of cold water, pepper. You can put salt in if you want to, but cheese is very salty, so I'll leave that to you. I'm not going to. And if you wanted to, you could put in a pinch of mixed herbs. Can't reach. There we are. Just a pinch of mixed herbs. And then that gets beaten together, so apologise about the noise now. There we are, that's really well mixed. So the next thing to do is to start heating the pan, and we're going to need to put about 10 grams of butter in our pan, and we're going to heat that till it's bubbling. So over to the cooker now. Now we need to get some heat under this pan. Just turn it down a fraction because it's a small pan. And you can see immediately the butter starts to soften. Now this needs to melt and bubble. It mustn't go brown. So you want it to be nice and hot and bubbly, but you don't want it to have that sort of caramelised look, because that has a different flavour. That makes it have a sort of nutty flavour. We're not after that. You can see it melting. I'm just going to whiz it round a bit. And I've got my jug ready. And I've got my filling handy too. You'll probably hear the butter is sizzling, it's frothing, and that's the time to put in our eggy mixture. Another mix, in it goes. And just give it a minute or so to start to set and form a kind of a, not quite a crust, but almost a crust. And what you then do is use your fork and you start to pull it in from the sides, and what this is doing is thickening. It's making a thicker omelette rather than just a very flat pancake style thing. This becomes a little bit lumpy. It gives you more texture. So we're going to keep doing this, just gently tapping so you don't scratch your pan. Just tap gently so you make a hole and the liquid runs through the hole and down to the pan and starts to cook. Give it a minute or so, back in there with a fork, moving it round. Can you see how I'm getting areas that are now thicker? And when we've got rid of nearly all the liquid, we'll put the flavourings, the fillings on there so they get hot too. You can see how it's getting bigger as well because I'm pushing it out a little bit each time. So not so much free liquid. If you were doing this with 4 eggs in a bigger pan, obviously it will take a little bit longer, and you will finish up with a much bigger omelette that you will need to cut in half to serve. So most of the liquid is gone. Now, I know that people are worried about raw egg, and I know that some people at this stage are tempted to put it under the grill and get that top surface cooked. That's really not the way it's done. You're relying on the residual heat to just finish the cooking of that slightly soft egg. So there's very little liquid left, and now I put my cheese on 1/2 of it. You can see that 50 grams is plenty. And I'm going down the right hand side where the handle is. That's starting to soften and warm. Tomatoes go on. And all the while it's continuing to cook, so if you were worried about the egg that looked a bit runny, it's still cooking all the while I'm putting the topping on. I'm going to just scrape those bits on too. There we are. Now, the next thing to do is to flip that half over, and the easiest way is to use a knife and a fork and turn it. It doesn't have to go all the way, because when you tip it onto your plate, it will fold itself over again. So just half a minute and we're nearly there. This is now done, and we'll turn it off, and I've got a persuader just in case I need it. So out of the pan, slide it out, get it if you can to just fold over, and there you are. You've got your omelette done. So here it is, our cheese and tomato omelette. If I cut it open, you'll see that the cheese is melted, it's lovely and steamy hot, and you could have it with a salad, you could even have it with some chips if you're organised, but perfect for a light meal. Hope you like this one. Bye for now.